Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our limited series podcast, Mind Body Series. My name is Katie McMullen, the founder of Andara, and I'm here today again with Marin Phoenix, founder of Embodypreneur. Marin is an awesome transformational coach based out of Vermont right now, where she grew up. She works with a lot of entrepreneurs and professionals to support them through deep understanding of old patterns, and also supports folks through large life transitions, including shifts in relationships, changes to career, and even works on loss or sudden and chronic emotional and behavioral patterns. She comes with an extensive background, and I would love, Marin, for you to tell us in your own words what you do.
Thank you so much, Katie. That was such a beautiful introduction. So I'm Marin, and I am a transformational coach. Sometimes we like to say embodiment, manifestation coach. There's a lot of different ways to kind of get deeper into what is transformational coaching. Generally, what I do is I help women and some men, I have worked with men before, to find more freedom and joy, specifically in their life purpose and in their relationships. So that is my primary focus. I work with entrepreneurs. I work with a lot of mompreneurs, right? Who's women who are balancing both wanting to bring their heart's passion, bring their work into the world, but also be there for their families and are raising little kids, little children. I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, so this is my life. I'm in the heart of it. So I'm very passionate about helping women to really succeed in whatever way that they desire to do so.
Beautiful. Thank you, Marin, for sharing. Definitely wearing a lot of hats, which I'm sure many in our audience can relate to. So today I will be asking Marin some more questions about what she does, who she is, so we can really get to know you, and understand what this industry is of transformational coaching and embodiment coaching. This field really seems to be taking off more and more. And so, Marin, I'd love for you to just share a little bit more so our audience can understand more deeply what is transformation coaching to you? What does that training look like? And just explain to us what that means.
Yeah, transformational coaching, it is a very up and coming business right now. And I do think that there's a lot of confusion around what is transformational coaching and what that involves. Coaching in general, typically in the past has been a lot of accountability coaching, which is life changes, helping people to meet their goals. Transformational coaching is really going down into the deep part of what of behavior. It's kind of getting down a little bit more into psychology, to deep beliefs that people make, usually in childhood. And so when I'm working with somebody and they're coming to me and saying, say, I would really love to know what it is I'm here to do. This is one that I get a lot, right? What am I here to do? What am I meant for in this life? I just feel a little confused. I've got pieces, but I'm not really sure. Then a lot of times what is happening there is that there's a lack of permission, right? To be able to see and step into. A lot of us know what we're here to do. When I was younger, I wanted to be a writer. I've been writing stories, little snippets of short stories my whole life. But there was some block around giving myself that permission to say, yeah, I'm going to be a writer. I am a writer. And to actually complete and write books or even blog posts, any kind of writing. And so with transformational coaching, we're looking at, yes, how can we show up to that work now? How can we set ourselves up for success? But we're looking at the deep roots of what is stopping us? What is blocking us from actually stepping fully and passionately into what we truly want to do in this life? And a lot of that stems from deep patterning in childhood, from situations that we may have experienced. It could be big, it could be small, it could be a little comment, right? Where a teacher said, you know, your sentence structure is crap, right? And that comment could stick with somebody to say, I can't be a writer for the rest of their lives. So what we do is really trace back those emotional and mental patterns all the way down into where did this really begin, and let that vibration of energy, that emotional patterning that's literally stuck in our bodies. Our bodies are amazing. We store our experiences and our emotions all throughout our body. And you can think about this in terms of like when you're afraid, if you feel afraid, that has a certain physical patterning to it, right? Your heart starts racing. You might get sweaty and clammy. You get like kind of antsy in your seat, versus if you're feeling compassion. When you're feeling compassion, body might slow down. You might lean in. You might get softer in your breathing. You might get like more intimate rather than an an outward awareness. So our body responds differently depending on the emotion that we're feeling. When we have an experience, say in childhood, where we have all of these emotions heightened, we take an imprint, a picture of that emotional reaction, and we store it. We store it for safekeeping in our body to keep us safe, right? Because if we ever see that picture, if we ever have that experience again, we want to remember how to react to keep ourselves safe. It's just like, it's almost like getting a vaccine, right? Getting vaccinated. It's like if you have like the mumps, right? People used to get mumps, and then they created the mumps vaccine to give the body a picture of, hey, this is what mumps looks like. So, hey, body, if you ever see mumps out there in the wild,
Mm,
this is the immune response you're going to do so that this person can actually stay safe and feel healthy. It's
mhm,
the same thing with our emotional and mental experiences. We see something as a child and we think, ooh, I don't want to experience this again. Or, ooh, when I see a picture of this, this is the response I want to have to keep myself safe or to keep others safe. And so later on, we might have a picture of that in our life, which is not the same experience, but it's a picture that looks like the experience we had as a childhood, and that emotional reaction comes up. I might be sitting, to go back to the writing example, I might be sitting at my computer. Okay, I'm getting ready to write a story. Oh, this looks a lot like that time when I put myself out there as a writer, or I put my writing out there when I was like 10 and somebody told me it was awful. Oh no, emotional reaction starts up, stay safe. You know what? Maybe I'll do this some other time. Right? So our bodies store those imprints, and so transformational coaching is really about going deep within, finding what those imprints are, allowing ourselves to have a different experience of those imprints that will serve us now, because we're not in that situation anymore, because we're adults and we get to create our life and our reality and our experience. We have more autonomy now. And then we repattern what you would actually like to have in life, which is another huge part of the work that I do with women is, what would you actually like?
mm.
Without any shoulds, no holds barred. If you could really truly step into an experience of life that feels so incredibly joyful and amazing to you and fulfilling, what would that be? And getting to the heart of that's transformational coaching.
Beautiful. Wow, thank you. That was such a rich description of what you do. Um, so I'm going to try to put it in like a 20 to 30 word summary. It sounds like if, say, we can imagine our life like a river or something, right? And there are a lot of blockages that come from different things. We have these dams where the water starts to build up, that energy starts to build up, sometimes in our bodies or in our minds. And it sounds like what you're doing is helping us to understand and acknowledge that there are dams along our path and we're not quite in flow, to understand why they got there in the first place and how to remove it. You support that process so that the water can ultimately make its pathway to this, big wide ocean of like flow in life. We can't control what those snapshots were that we took when we were little, but we have this whole photo album and we're like, oh my gosh, why did I take these pictures, and see how they're showing up with for us now. So
Yeah, and I love that river and dam analogy. That's such a beautiful picture, and I would say it's almost like, so the blocks, we're not necessarily removing the boulders or the blocks, we're dissolving them and integrating them into the system so that they can nourish the whole system, the whole ecosystem.
cool. Bringing really like, wait, this is so beautiful. So dissolving it would actually, yeah, find the way to be nourished by it, to find the way to create an ally with that imprint,
Yeah,
and turn it
because
into
these
something beautiful.
Absolutely, because all of these experience they happen for a reason. Our soul is calling these experiences into our life to
Mhm.
fulfill our life purpose. So everything that happens, it helps makes us stronger. I mean, there's literally, I can't think that there's a single person on this planet that doesn't have experiences that would create these blockages. We're here to have those blocks. They're
Mm,
not wrong, right? They're there on purpose. And what we're here to do as we become, that's like childhood, right? And as we come into adulthood, dissolving those blocks and getting all the juiciness. It's like you can't have the light without the dark. There's
mhm.
gifts. There's so much gifts, so many gifts in those challenges. And it's those gifts that create our magic, that create our medicine. I mean, I literally wouldn't be here doing what I do if I hadn't gone through the shadowlands of, my experience.
Totally. What a perfect segue. I would love for you to share just how you got into this work, at least a little bit. Tell us, how does one become a transformational coach in the first place, and what led you there?
Yeah, I think with any calling, it's something that you're called to, and this is certainly work that I was called to.
Mm,
Um, I I had a pretty tumultuous childhood, in terms of the emotional state of my household. I'll just put it that way. My parents fought a lot, and they fought with a lot of vigor. And say they fought with a lot of like very aggressive, angry, fighting, and there were some situations that I needed to step up. Won't go too deep into them here, but there was, I'll just mention that one, when I was 6, um, my my mother, yeah, when I was 6, I basically had to, talk my mother off of a ledge, and a literal ledge, and I think something happened to me in that moment of stepping up and reaching across from myself to s my mother, someone I really love and care about, but this other person that, to create a level of safety and stability and, acceptance of who she was in that moment and what was going on to allow her nervous system to calm down enough to come down off the ledge. And those kind of experiences kind of continue happening throughout the rest of my life, in various circumstances. I I remember being on the bus in kindergarten, and having children come to me and talk to me about things that they were going through, and in 1st grade and, 2nd grade, and that's continued to happen basically throughout my life. And I had these conversations with people, and I sort of did this work, um, unintentionally, until my late 20s, when I really hit this point of I need to figure out what the heck I'm here to do, because finance, which is which is what I was doing, was working in high net worth wealth management. Sitting on the 41st floor of a office building in San Francisco in a, suit and all, buttoned up and trading stocks and doing things like that was not me. And I knew it. And I had these days where I just felt like I was screaming within my own skin because this just wasn't where I was meant to be. And so I had this massive transition, this shift. which is a story for another time. But I ended up going to business school and getting a master's of law and still trying to like, what is this thing that I want to do? And through these various amazing synchronicities, I was led, truly, divinely, thankfully, led to a transformational coach. And I started working with her. And I was like, this is what I am here to do. This is what I want to do with my life. And so then I started doing more of that, doing the certification, got my transformational coaching certification, and started getting other trainings, adding to trainings that I had already had, adding to tools and modalities I'd already worked with, and just formalizing that process. And then working with people, which has just been breathtakingly, overwhelmingly incredible.
Mm. You just have this way of being able to relate to so many different kinds of people. And I think that really is telling of your background, just what you went through naturally growing up and through life, and just being an intuitive person, throughout your entire life. But I'm certainly very grateful that you found your calling because, Marin, you are so good at the work that you do. So I would really want our audience to know what are the ways that they can work with you because you have several beautiful offerings. So tell us, how can people work with you?
Yeah, thank you, Katie. So I work with women both in groups and individually. So the groups, I created this, oh gosh, I just had this incredibly fortunate invitation to create a program years ago from a friend of mine who was working in an organization, and she said, I've she was doing these business planning courses, and she was like, there's doing these business planning courses, but I have so many women who are coming to me and saying, I'm actually having a hard time getting out of bed in the morning and confronting my business. I'm having a hard time picking up the phone. So no matter how many times we talk about these strategies and, I map out my business plan and create this stuff, I'm having a really hard time stepping into it, executing it, showing up to this work with confidence and feeling like this is me. Like I'm here to do this and I can do this in a magnificent way. So in that invitation she asked me, do you think you could make some kind of a program or a course or something to help these women? And thus Embodipreneurs, the foundations course, was born. And really that was the birth of Embodipreneur. That's when Embodipreneur really came together as what it is today. So I created this group course called Foundations. It's a course that addresses foundational level entrepreneurial mindset, from confronting our inner critic to creating boundaries with the to coin a term from Julia Cameron, the crazy makers in our life, people who or situations or people that would um, kind of derail us in our endeavors, um, that make us question ourselves. So putting those boundaries in within and externally, and then confronting our stories, right? The stories we have about who we are, what we're capable of, and what's possible in the world. That's the second module. And then the third module is all about relationship with money. So really getting into what are the stories we have about money and what is available to us, and also understanding how we relate to money, right? What do we believe about money? How do we feel about money? Our emotional state, right? How we feel about money at a deep level is going to have an impact on the flow of money into or out of our business.
Mm.
And then the fourth module, this is all of those three modules are really this big clearing out, right? It's kind of dissolving those boulders in the river of each woman who's in the course. And then the fourth module is visioning and manifesting. So we get so clear now that we have room, now that we have space, now that our worlds are expanded and there's more possibility and synchronicity happening. What would you actually like from this expanded space without all the naysayers, without the words in your head of your self-worth or feeling this confidence and this creative flow, what would you actually like in your life? And then how do you bring that into being so that you get into the manifestation, which is so much fun. And it's incredible to watch people actually having these incredible experiences throughout the course and being like, what is this magic? Yes, it's divine magic. It's amazing. That's my group course. I've done other group courses. I actually have 3 levels. So it's foundations and then taking the leap and then walking the path, to get into different aspects of a person's business. And then I also work with women one-on-one when they wanna go into that deeper journey. So this is getting really deep into the specific, to keep using your metaphor because I flipping love it, to keep using that, to get into those specific boulders and rocks along the riverbed. The one-on-one work gets really deep into, a woman's specific journey, and there's so many amazing tools to get deep into the subconscious and get into that release and repatterning.
Does someone have to be an entrepreneur to really get the most out of Embodipreneur? Like, could you even replace you were mentioning, um, I think during the money module, for example, making sure that you're able to receive in your business what's meant for you. Could we actually replace that word business with life? Would someone who doesn't actually have a business also benefit from this Embodipreneur Foundation program?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. This course could be helpful for really anyone who's wanting to get more out of life, who's wanting to step into a deeper embodiment of who they truly are and their authentic self. So, one of the women that I worked with, this was just amazing. She was working 2 jobs, each one part-time, but adding up to more than full-time. She's deeply creative, an incredible artist, wasn't really working on her artistry, was really wanting to, step into what am I here to do? And after working together for some time, she was able to quit one of her jobs, double her salary from her first job, I think even more than double, with benefits, and still be able to maintain the hours that she had been working. So without additional time spent working, and open up her studio, clean it out, and be able to start opening that space for her creative, for her artistry to flow. So it really, this work is for entrepreneurs, but it's also for people who are just here wondering, what the heck am I here to do? And how do I step more deeply into alignment with my authentic self? And then the other thing that I work on a lot with people, and it's kind of, I alluded to this earlier, is their relationships.
Mm.
And it's those deep relationships, could be relationships with parents. Worked with many women on their relationship with their aging parents, especially as that time comes close to potentially losing that parent. I had one woman who came to me and she said, I need to work with you, and I need to work on my, mother wound. I need to work on my relationship with my mother. I She was, she was starting up her business, but every time when we talked about it, she was like, "Yeah, I wanna work on the entrepreneurial stuff, the business stuff, but I have to work on my relationship with my mother right now." She had just this intuitive, like, something in her. So we did, 4 sessions together and completely transformed her relationship with her mother. She had a very different experience with her, was able to open her heart and have more compassion and love and gentleness in her relationship with her mother. And then her mother passed away, like
Wow.
within a month or 2 of that work. So I think that we know when there's something that isn't working in our life. And when you're reaching that point where you can go no further with the way that things are, that's the time for transformational coaching. That's the time for this work, because it ripples out to every area of your life. And the effects of doing this kind of coaching, it reaches so deep, so far forward, right, into your life in terms of opening up the possibilities. It's when you hit that point where you're ready to shed a layer of skin. You're ready to get out of that, uh, caterpillar body and get into the butterfly that you truly are, changes everything. I don't
Yes.
know if I answered your question.
It did. It did. Um, it really was getting me excited for the work that we're doing together. Um, I wanted to add a little bit to because you've mentioned that some parts of your own story and the folks that you work with have these traumas, and I think that word has been tossed around quite a bit recently. Some people will use that language like big T trauma and little T trauma. So I just wanted to invite, our audience, our listeners to um, just take a step back, maybe from that word, or to understand it a little bit better. One thing that was coming up for me is because you and I have talked about this, our body and our spirit can register seemingly small events as really core wounds or patterns. I remember talking with you, Marin, about a story where, as a child, you and your mom go to the grocery store, and for whatever reason, you get separated. The child is just looking at, their eye level, gets lost. And even though mom might just be one aisle over, there's this like sense of deep abandonment. And from the outside looking in, bird's eye view, of course, you can see they're actually like 8 feet away physically. But the emotional perception that has on the imprint that you were talking about before takes that snapshot. And then later in life and relationships can show up in honestly pretty surprising and unexpected ways a lot of the time. So I just wanted to share something like that. And please, Marin, if you have another way to explain that, just so that people can understand, it doesn't always show up in our life as something that big T, like we truly all do have little wounds that can build up onto each other. We're all just so unique. So I wanted to just share that and see, Marin, if you had anything to add there about who's meant to work with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that you bring up this. It doesn't have to be something that we would necessarily register as trauma. And it can also go back to the womb. It can
Mm,
go back to our birth experience. It can go back to what our experience was like being born. Through this is why the somatic work is so powerful. The somatic work that you do, Katie,
mm,
and then also like breath work, doing deep breath work journeys. I did a breathwork journey at one point. It's through the it's holotropic breathwork, and it's a 3 hour breathwork journey. I mean, it's very intense, and I actually re-experienced my birth, and in that I felt myself like in the womb, like tied up in a little ball in the womb, and I had this experience of abandonment, this experience of being left there, and that I was completely and hopelessly abandoned and alone. And then I felt this sort of numbing sensation over my whole body, and then sort of release, like exit. And to hear asking my mom what happened in my birth, she said that she was in labor for a very long time. I think it was like 16 hours, and I can't remember exactly how much of that was pushing, like trying to get me down into the birth canal and out. Side note, I'm also a childbirth educator.
I was just gonna say, Marin is very comfortable with these terms and talking in this way because of your transformational birth coaching too. I love it.
So yes, I'm also a childbirth educator. So anyway, this she told me that I basically got stuck in there, and she wasn't getting me out. So that's when she got the epidural. She was exhausted. She got the epidural, numbing feeling, and then she was able to push me out. Um, but I registered once I had that somatic experience in my adult body, I realized that when I had come to challenges in life before that point, places where I was like, "Oh, I can't do this," I would get this, like, completely hopeless, numb feeling. The same exact feeling that I had in that experience of being born, um, just throughout my life, and realizing, "Oh my gosh, wait a minute. This is a pattern that I got from literally within the womb about, hopelessness and, just kind of going numb in these situations when I would love to burst forward with, like, the fierceness of a phoenix." So being able to see that and to recognize it for what it is and to repattern that so that when I hit moments of, challenge, of friction, which is inevitable. I mean, we're not trying to make life perfect. We're not trying to make it so that we don't have any, bad experiences in life. We can't. We are not omnipotent. We're human. It's the way that we experience life and the way that we move through challenges that we can do that with grace and with compassion and love. So yeah, now when I hit a challenge, I'm like, all right, okay, let's do this. Like,
Yeah,
let's
bring it on.
bring it.
Bring
Yeah.
that phoenix energy. Can you, Marin, give us a little peek inside your medicine bag, just naming and identifying a couple of the modalities that you bring in? Because I know when I've worked with you, you've been such a the word rich keeps coming up, or like a rich facilitator where, we've done some talking. We even colored in one of our our retreats, like a intuitive coloring, which was so powerful. So give us a little sneak peek inside of your medicine bag.
Mm. Wish I had an actual bag to like pull out.
Like a Mary Poppins.
Poppins is exactly what I was thinking of.
I mean, it's essentially what you are, but you have the existential or metaphorical bag.
One thing in my medicine bag. Okay, let's see. Hmm. Okay, so one thing in my medicine bag is the breath work. I have done training to do that holotropic breath work with people. I've also trained in other modes of somatic release with breath work. The kind of breath work that I do goes from 1 to 2 hours. It's a full somatic release um journey and experience where as somebody does this particular pattern of breath work, they might start screaming, they might start laughing uncontrollably, they might start bawling, they might have their entire left arm go completely numb and tingly because the energy is being released and it's held for a significant amount of time to get these deep somatic releases. And I use this with clients when we have been working together and we've been uncovering some deep patterning, and we're ready to really move that energy through the body at a level beyond words. So that's one tool in my toolkit. Yeah, I use, neurolinguistic programming. I've done, training with, gosh, borderline personality disorders. Um, let's see, there's so many things. Vipassana meditation. I just have this insatiable desire to keep learning new, tools and modalities because we all have so many different maps and people are so different, and to be able to just intuitively, grab the right tool at the right time is it's important to me. So yeah. Does that give you a little glimpse inside my medicine bag, inside
Yes.
my Mary Poppins bag?
Totally, just makes certainly makes me wanna keep pulling things out. So, I guess to wrap things up a little bit today, you've already given us so much and such a clear picture of what it's like to work with you. You've done a lot of talking today, but I also just wanted to add that Marin is such a good listener. and just the way that you intuit things and you know exactly what to say um, in the moment and when to listen. I just wanted to add that so people know that, like, certainly in my life, you've been one of the greatest listeners. And so with that, you've given us so much to consider, to think about, and to get excited checking out your website, working with you. Would you be willing to share one more tip for our audience, picking out one of those tools for today that you feel we could all use right now?
Yes, absolutely. I think one of the most powerful tools that I have in terms of like a quick second, something that you can do anytime, anywhere, just in the moment. There's two things. One thing is using the phrase what if. So we talked about opening up the possibilities, opening up the options when you're in this moment of feeling stuck and feeling like, "Oh, I really would like something to happen, but, um, I'm not good enough," or "It's not possible." What if it is? So, I'll give you an example. There was a course that I wanted to take, and I was like, I think it wasn't super expensive, but it was maybe like $600 or something like that, and I was thinking, "Oh, man, like, I just don't necessarily want to allocate funds to that right now, but I really wanna take it." And I was thinking to myself, instead of getting stuck in this, like, "Oh, we can't afford it," or, "Oh, that's just not possible," what if? What if I manifested that money today? Like, what if I was able to receive new money coming in to pay for that course within the next 24 hours because this course was starting and I needed to like sign up in order to do it. And I thought, what if that was possible to receive an outside of what I already had planned? What if I was able to receive new sources of funds to pay for this course? And I did. Like literally from a bunch of different places, it just came in and there it was to pay for the course. So I think we get in our own way. We close off possibilities to receive when we start thinking, for whatever reason, it's not possible because of either me or because of life. So just using those like two words, what if, opens us up to be able to look for and receive new possibilities in our life that can actually bring about what we want. So
Mhm,
that's one. And then the second one, which is also very simple, is getting yourself into the embodiment of what you want to experience in the moment. And one way you can do that is writing a phrase of what you would really like to receive or how to be. So for example, yeah, just to give you like a little sneak peek into my world. So
mhm,
this morning I used the phrase like I am confident, magnetic, and in flow. And writing that phrase over and over and over again to fill an entire page, just one page, but you fill an entire page and you just write the phrase over and over again. The key is to feel it. So as you write it, it's not just like a compulsory write it down and, just like, you're not an automaton. Okay. We're humans. So as you're writing the words, allow that feeling to be true within you. Allow yourself to have an authentic experience, even if you don't believe it's possible, right? This is opening up that belief. This is giving yourself that room. Even if you don't feel it in the moment, invite it in, welcome it in. You can go back to whatever you were doing at the end of the page, but just for that page, as you're writing those words, allow a truly present experience of those words to come into your body.
mhm,
Just give yourself that feeling. And by the time you're at the end of the page, just notice. Just notice how you are, how you feel, and what's possible in your day. And I recommend to do that first thing upon waking up because it just changes the trajectory of your entire day.
Thank you. That is so great and something that we could use every day or at least once a week. Really like to like maybe combining those things. When you were talking about the what if,
Mhm.
um, I was chatting with a colleague last month about what happens when we shift that mindset into like a what if and I wonder. The what if starts to allow that wondering, that imagination, the creativity, the possibilities to flow in. And then literally our lives become full of wonder.
Mhm.
So they're wonderful, right?
And Katie,
Amazing.
I would love to just add in terms of that what if, inviting the wonder, it's also inviting a relationship with something bigger than yourself.
Mhm.
So when you're saying what if, you're actually inviting the participation of the universe. You're actually inviting a divine relationship to help support you. And that's so important because we're not alone. We don't have to do it by ourselves. We don't have to do this by ourselves. It's such a big shift.
What a fantastic way to really tie a bow on this episode because Marin and I both offer, in our unique ways, this mind body connection. And you don't have to do this alone. And that's a big message that both of us really want to get across that truly our calling in life is to be supportive, both in one on one and in groups, to help you better understand yourself, your patterns, the messages that are coming in from your body, your experiences, and the way that life and relationships are reflecting back to you what it is to learn in that moment, and then ultimately create that life that you want to be in flow, to be that beautiful, powerful river that determines her own or his own path. So, any last words of advice today, Marin, and comments that you want to make?
No, I feel like that pretty much I love your wrap up. It's absolutely beautiful. Yeah.
Well, we are so excited for our next episode together where we really talk about setting intentions in a way that I would say hasn't it's not common. We do it in an unexpected way. As you've heard from Marin today, she has a lot of tools about how to sort of reprogram ways that we look at how to manifest things in our lives. And so we both talk about different tips that we have from both of our backgrounds in the mind body connection, including supporting yourself through the blocks that can get in the way between the thing that you want and the intention that you're setting, and what that relationship looks like and feels like. So you'll learn why blocks come up, how to support yourself. And as always, we send you home with a little exercise that you can do right there in the moment. So thank you so much for sharing your energy and your time with us today. We hope that you were able to relate and get something out of our conversation, and we'll see you next time.